Welcome to the What's the Temp podcast. My name is Betina, and I am coming in hot.
And I'm Jen, and I'm just checking in so I don't check out.
Good morning, Jen. The episode today is called, what's it called, Jen? Family?
You think I know. And that is very cute.
Okay, it's called Family Frameworks. Today we're discussing family frameworks. And I'm as usual, you guys know I'm excited about our temp check. So I'm excited to hear your temp check on your family relationship temperatures. Unless you want me to go first. I mean,
I'm gonna have you go first today.
Okay. So I am excited to report that for the first time probably in my adult life, I have a nearly perfect 325-degree family temp check. There's always room for growth. You guys know my set point with anything is 350 degrees as far as oven temperatures. And so there's room for growth, but what I'm enjoying in this season is the intentionality around family activities for us, around loving for us, around supporting for us, just around being there. So like we know, family relationships go through phases, and I'm just proud to say that my family is almost in its nicest place since childhood, and that's major. Like in youth, we know, or we think we know how to love because these are people that, this is our nucleus. These are people that we've been around all of our lives, and we think we know how to love them, but now to do it from a place of just growth and wholeness and, you know, a similitude of wisdom, you know what I mean? Just a piece of wisdom. It's different and it's lovely for me. That's mine.
That is different for you. And it makes me so happy that everything is gelling and that everything's falling into place like that, because as long as I've known you, it's just never been like that. And I think it's hard to imagine when something has been a certain way for so long that it might change for the better. And it's so life affirming that for you it has.
Yeah, it took some tragedy. It took some pain for us to get there, but we're here now. And like I said, even though it's not perfect, we have some people that are still, you know, going through whatever they're going through. But the thing is, we're going to love them through it as a unit versus, you know, being siloed the way we always have. And, you know, we used to take our little traumas and go in our respective corners and just nurse them. Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. We want to be whole. We want to love. We want to support. We want to engage. That's huge. We actually want to engage, you know? And so it's a happy place right now for the most part,
That's amazing.
Thank you. How about yours? What's your family relationship temp?
My family relationship temp, I'm going oven temp today, and it's 425.
Ooh, is that your temp? Is 425 your temp?
Yeah.
Ooh.
The frozen pizza temp is my temp. Hot and fast. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm moving in my life towards low and slow, but I'm not there yet. So right now I'm still on my high school and college oven temp, which was 425, just because I'm a huge frozen pizza fan. And then I'm just in a faster dinner cooking mode of my life, because by the time I pick my kids up from daycare at 5:30 and then they go to bed at 7 and 7:30 respectively, that's how fast I have to cook dinner. And that's really fast for someone who possibly has ADHD, as it was pointed out to me by a beloved listener. Yes, I just have to actually share that. So we all know I struggle horribly with time. And dinner is the place where that's the most evident in my day, because I just can't seem to stay on task. And that does not work when you're cooking dinner, because dinner requires a lot of multitasking, and I straight up cannot multitask. So someone texted me a couple months ago and she said, this is either something you already know, and then in my mind, it was like in parentheses, well, or this is about to change your life. And then she said, you have ADHD.
Totally diagnosed.
Yes. So I thought I don't have ADHD, not because I've manipulated that diagnosis out of several psychologists or psychiatrists rather in the past, but it was a means to an end. It was so that I could get my drug of choice of amphetamines in pill form. And then when I got sober, I just canceled all that out because I thought, how could I possibly have ADHD?
Surely.
Well, how could I? I excelled in school. I was a perfect A student. That's not the hallmark of the ADHD. And then also, I'm not hyperactive. I'm not hyperactive in the traditional sense.
Right.
At least I've never thought. I think I'm extremely calm, actually. And then third of all, I do not have trouble focusing. I have trouble breaking focus. So it's kind of the opposite. So I had sort of just cast that aside when I got sober. But then when I said to a couple of my friends and I said, someone said this, and they were like, of course you do.
That's how it felt to me. When you told me, I was like,
really?
Of course. I'm saying it like literally all the stuff that we've done with accountability, like all the conversations that we've had.
That I've failed abjectly.
It's because it's like you really want to do it. You really want to do the stuff that you set out to do.
I'm just making zero progress.
Like you're physically incapable of doing it because you can't keep focus on that thing because you're focusing so intensely on something else.
Yeah, and because I can't prioritize, which is why cooking dinner is so hard.
Yes.
Because I cannot seem to decide which task should come first. And then once she said that, I started looking into or she sent me some stuff, or maybe I forget, about how it manifests in women. And in women, it's not as much overactive body as overactive mind.
Yes.
And then it said the two hallmarks, coping mechanisms of women with ADHD, get this, people pleasing and perfectionism.
Wow.
Literally my top two. But now that said, first of all, I'm not into pathologizing quirks of the mind or archetypes of ways that the mind works. I'm not wanting accommodations. I'm not that interested in the pathology of it, but I'm interested in it to the extent that it might serve me finding better coping mechanisms. So I don't think I could ever thank this person enough, because as soon as she said that, it was like, I don't really do Instagram, but Herschel actually sent me this video. Once I told him, he sent me this video that was this guy, and he was like, I'm going to go take a shower. And then he said, that should take approximately 30 seconds. So first, the total miscalculation of time of how long something might take. And then he's going to take a shower, but he passes the laundry basket on his way out the door. And then he's like, oh, I should take this laundry down. But then by the time he takes the laundry down, then he gets distracted by something else that crosses his line of vision. And then, a half hour later, he still hasn't gotten in the shower. And I was like, wow, I really identify with that. And then there's this other woman on Instagram who I'm obsessed with, this Nikki Marie Inc. person. I feel like everybody knows her. She's amazing. She has this one where she has this box of salad and she pulls out these 2 leaves and she's saying, this is what it's like when I'm trying to schedule my day. And this one leaf is, put away the laundry. And then this other leaf is a bill with a deadline. And then she's holding them up and she's like, which one should I do? I don't know. And then they just fall back into the salad thing and get all lost with everything else.
Oh, wow.
Which explains also why I have this to-do list that I can't seem to ever get things done on it. But then when I called my friend Joyce, who happened to be also the first person I told about the ADHD thing, and she was shocked that I didn't know this. Like, she just assumed I knew this for a fact, and she's known me for years. And she said, one time I told her my to-do list and I'm like, there's all these things on it and I haven't been able to get it done for basically weeks. And then I sent it to her and she said, I could do all of these things on this list in an hour. What's going on?
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, back to dinner.
This is a prime example.
A serious departure, but I just have to say things as I think of them. I guess that's like, is that part of it?
That was part of it. But you know what? It was funny because when you said to me one time, we were talking about accountability stuff, just to finish this thought. We were talking about accountability stuff and you said that you just did things as they crossed your line of vision. And I remember being that scared. That freaked me out because I'm like, I could never. Oh my gosh,
You're
could
big on
never.
prioritization. Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary. I was like, I couldn't even, I don't even know what it's like inside your brain. So yeah,
It's a huge handicap. It's a huge limitation. So I'm glad she told me that, because then it just makes me jazzed about trying to find out, okay, what do people with this form of neurodivergence, I love that word, neurodivergence.
yes.
What do those people do? Talk to me about it. So actually it's really cool, because I told my spiritual advisor and she said, oh, I would be really happy to work with you on that. And then she promptly scheduled me for every Wednesday at 4:30 a.m. We've been meeting so she can help me to try to overcome it. Isn't that so cool?
That is
Not
cool.
overcome it, but work with it.
Yeah, work through it.
So she told me, so here's how it's going though. So she gave me an assignment, which is that when I'm cleaning up the kitchen, so it takes me like 5 times as long to clean up the kitchen as it would take Herschel if he were to do it. So when I'm cleaning up the kitchen, she said, just go in order left to right. Don't even try to prioritize anything. Just don't, like, I was trying to develop a system.
Create a
like, this goes into the fridge. Yeah. She's like, don't do that. Just go left to right. So it's been 4 weeks since she's given me that assignment, and I try it basically every night, and I've succeeded in it 0 times.
But ultimately, I think it'll work, though, as you start to. I think if you just keep trying at it, because you're retraining your brain, so it's okay.
Yes. I've made no progress, but I'm not giving up.
Absolutely.
So that had nothing to do with family temperatures.
But you did give me your temperature, though.
But might be a good, example of ADHD thinking. With my family right now, it's really good. I'm closer with my brother and my dad than I've ever been in my entire life. And it's just really good. It's just warm and toasty, and it hasn't always been like this. With my brother, it's basically always been like this. Once we became teenagers, we became best friends. But with my dad, we're just building this totally new relationship. I call him all the time.
Wow.
I spoke with him on the phone yesterday because I needed to call him for a recipe for this episode, actually. So we looked at the recipe, and the recipe is, what is it? Legacy. What is it?
Heritage.
Family heirloom.
Heritage.
Meal. It had to be something that was passed down through generations. And right off the bat, I was like, I'm gonna have to actually do a little bit of work on this one because I don't have anything like this. So I called my dad. I said, is there anything that Grammy made that you can give to me? And he said, no. He says that everything that she made was kind of, it wasn't necessarily something he wanted to take on. But if he did have a recipe that he wanted to do something similar, he wanted to find a more modern version of it. So he would just go to The Joy of Cooking or Cooks Illustrated to find it. So I was just like, Dad, that's not helpful. But part of the reason that my family temp is also so high today is because guess what I did?
What?
I called. Now I'm so happy with this. I'm just so happy to share it because it just happened. I like to keep things very, very fresh. This just happened 15 minutes ago. So you know how I have the male best friend. I'm going to reveal his name because he told me I can. I never reveal people's names unless they tell me I can, like Joyce has. Yeah. But his name is Luke. And because I talk about him so much and he's kind of a recurring character, I just thought I'd throw that out there. So I called his mom because this weekend I went to a pool party. It was just me and him and his brother and his mom and dad. But that's the house where I shared. It hurts me sometimes to leave that house because I wish I lived there. So I was so thrilled to go over there. And I wanted to talk to his mom because I just needed some advice. And I don't have a mom in my life, and I adore his mom. She's so sharp-witted and she's just so great. And I just remember growing up, she's a great cook. My dad, who's an excellent cook, is very impressed by her cooking skills. I'm always picking her brain about how do you do it with the cooking dinner, because I feel that I'm going under, even just with a toddler and a not even 1-year-old. And she had 4 kids. And she said she had this casserole recipe, and I was like, yes, casserole's perfect because casseroles feed a lot of people. Yeah. There can often be leftovers, and they're easy. They're set and forget. So I called her on the phone on my way to get a smoothie right before we started recording, and I was like, please help me. Because she told me the casserole recipe was from her mom. So I said, because I don't have one in my family, can I borrow your heritage recipe, something that's been passed down for generations? So this one that I have for later is her recipe that she got from her mom that she has now passed down to her kids. And I'm not even one of her kids, but I have it. So I'm super excited. So that's all. So that's just why I'm feeling warm and toasty today, because I don't have that mom figure in my life, but I reached
Yeah.
out and I asked for help and she helped me. She pulled her car over to the side of the road and
Oh,
sent
that
me
is
this recipe
so
book. I know.
awesome.
So I'm flying high and I'm nice and hot in the oven.
That is good. Well, I love that for you. And even though I hate to leave this really, really high moment, I do want to get into our backstory,
Let's
which
do it.
is how we've navigated family dynamics together. And I want to kick this one off, if you don't mind.
Please do.
I feel that we have over time, like over the years, like over 10 years, talked extensively about family dynamics. Only because I think it was just a necessary conversation. But when I think about that, when I think about where life was then, like 2014, 15 era when we met, and the changes that I was going through in career, in family, like the kids were becoming like independent. That was around the time that I met my husband. So there were a lot of changes happening in my life at that time. But I think that, though different, born family and chosen family, it's going to sound crazy. I think it's divinely curated because I
Mm.
believe that what God doesn't give you in family, he gives you in friends. I've
Yes.
said that over and over again, and I will say it until I die because I'm so convinced that that's true because, as you know, your born family is like your first classroom. It's where you learn the do's and don'ts of love, teaching us resilience, boundaries, love languages, all the things, right? And also some things that you don't want to repeat. We've talked about that extensively. But
Yeah.
there are just so many challenging dynamics in any person's family. Like, I don't know of, let me just say that, I don't know of the absolutely perfect family, right? And so that comes with varied experiences but it also shapes our capacity for growth, empathy, wisdom. Like it's there to teach us. And I think as we're growing, we kind of want to put the family dynamic, instead of seeing it as a classroom, like I can say this so clearly now because I'm in my 50s. In my 20s, in my 30s, and especially as a teen, girl, please, what everybody hates me here. you know? what I mean? And so, but then you have your chosen family and you just kind of embrace them because it's like, you get me, you understand
Mhm.
me. And then, they were always willing to come against your enemies. Like if I came and told one of my great friends especially in adolescence, if I told a great friend that someone did this to me, then they hated them with me, even if it was a family member. I hate you too,
Mhm.
for what you did to her.
Mhm.
I don't even know you like that, but, and so, um, I just feel like the chosen family enters your life at the moments when we're ready for different lessons. So there were your basic lessons, the things that we should have learned. But then when you're ready for lessons that come with a measure of growth, that's when the chosen family or the friends come and they just show up with new ways, with absolutely new ways of loving and giving and helping you set boundaries and teaching and you know what I mean, support. And it's like, okay, well, this is a new level of that. And if we could just step out, remember we always talk about the bird's eye view. I will always say that because sometimes we're so zoomed into a thing that we just can't see. And when we can't
Mm.
see, we're just feeling and everything feels so horrible.
Mm.
It either feels so, 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 so good when you look at it from adulthood, it was like, was it really good? And then, but then they just bring you, when you can zoom out and see it from a bird's eye view, the chosen family and your born family, it's just like a beautiful thing. And I just see it as divinely curated and nothing can change my thought process on that. Because I look at the people that have come into my life when I was hurting so much and they just gave me a sense of peace. And it was as if how I see like Adam and Eve. I saw that Adam was alone on the earth, whatever. Adam was alone on the earth, and he didn't have the language to say, you know what, God, I need a wife. He didn't have the language to ask for that, but God was like, hey, here's a wife for you. Here's a partner for you, you know? And I think
Yeah.
that's cool because it's like you get what you need, even if you don't have the language to ask for it. That's how I see it.
Tell me, the friends who became your chosen family or who you chose to become your family, what qualities about them or what about your relationship with them made them so impactful to you?
So I would see people that had circumstances that were similar to mine, but they had a way of loving because they had a grandmother or a grandpa that showed them something different or helped them to see their situation differently and help them navigate through it. And so that person was there to teach me the lesson
Mm.
like, hey, yes, it hurts, but you can choose something different. Yes, that was painful, but you can choose. Yes, you made that mistake, but this doesn't have to be the end of the road because they had someone
Mhm.
speaking life into them. And so they were able to speak life into me, even at their young age, you know, and that someone cared enough about you to speak life. So I had people that were speaking life into me. I had people that would like go out of their way for me. Like if there was a place where I was in where I couldn't do something, God would send me a person that could and would. Where you had people in your life that could, but they wouldn't. You
Mm.
know? And so then you had people, and so that is the thing that makes me want to go the extra mile for the people that I love, you know? So that's what I'm saying. It's like to show you something different and say, and it goes back to the both and. Yes, you can have pain and still extend yourself for someone that you know or don't. You know, you can go the extra mile. You can, because look at how much satisfaction comes from that. You know, you're thinking satisfaction only comes or peace or joy only comes from this way, but it can come from this way as well.
Was it mostly there? It's so interesting that you're saying that because so it was that they were modeling an approach to life and you had a common basis in your circumstances or some challenge that you faced or were facing, but they were modeling a different behavior that was more of an overcoming, or they had a different perspective than one that you were able to reach at that time. So was it more so that than the actual direct support of conversations and holding space and that type of thing that's more characteristic of female friendships? Was it more of a role model than a direct relational support?
No, it was a combination though, because
Okay.
it was understanding that, you know, your feelings or your thoughts didn't just have to be discarded, but not only can I hold this space for you, I can go the extra mile and help you navigate that. Where I felt that what was being shown to me and my very limited view, what was being shown to me was cast you aside. So when you
Was
have
what? Was cast
someone
you aside?
was cast you aside.
Okay.
And so then it's like, you know, you make a mistake, cast you aside, you know? And
Yeah.
so, but then you have this
Spurned.
person that is like, you know what? You've made a mistake, but so what? It doesn't have to define everything about
Yeah.
you. And not only that, let me do what I can to support you. What can I do? And that is what has made me comfortable in the situation where I can hold space or go the extra mile for someone that I care about or someone I'm in relationship with or even a stranger.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean about it being divinely curated because I needed that because that extra part was what was going to help me become this version of myself.
Yes. This this is one way that we are so deeply aligned, but it's still there still is the division almost between the divine and the secular, as there often is with us.
But I think it's not a real division. I think it's
not
a fake division.
Exactly. So when the way you're wording it is different than how I would word it, or how I used to see it, but it's actually not different than how I would word it now. But I'm hearkening all the way back to middle school. I had this one friend. So I told you I grew up in a household where it was a cynical vibe, and that I think that intellectualism for me became a form of armoring, but that's the environment was one of academic, not academic achievement, but I guess academic achievement was prioritized highly, and intelligence was really important, and education was really important, and that was the environment that I grew up in. And then I had this friend she was really my first real friend. You know how sometimes in middle school you have these friends that you see a lot, but they're gossiping about you behind your back, or you can't totally trust them, or they're three-way calling you. Remember three-way calling? Wasn't that evil?
Remember that.
Wasn't that evil? It would be
having
like your
the
friend
third
would
person
call you and
secretly
say,
on the phone.
Yeah, yes. They would call you and they'd say, "Oh, don't you think so-and-so is blank?" And in order to try to fit in and to gain their approval, you would say, "Yeah, they are." And then they would be on the phone with them. Horrible. So my first truly good person friend was someone who just was the nicest person. I actually saw her this weekend for the first time in about 2 years. And she was the nicest person. She had this really, really childlike, innocent quality. And when I met her, I think it was just like you're saying, where there was just something that she had, some quality that I realized I needed more of. So in the way that I framed it, and I mean that in the past tense, and I didn't see it like that at the time, but I think if I did go back in time, instead of seeing it as something that was divinely curated, I would have seen it as my own agency. I see something I want and I go after it. So I saw that she had this softness and this innocence and this optimism, and that I didn't have because I already was starting to feel those depression feelings and those lost feelings. And so I wanted this innocence and this positivity and this youthfulness and this childlike joy in my life. So her and I would get together every Friday and we would watch TGIF and we would make food and we would have snacks, and it would just be really joyful. And it was kind of an us against the world thing because we were both struggling in school for different reasons. But she was my first friend where I recall appropriating pieces of her spirit into my own. And her spirit was a salve for mine, you know?
Wow.
And then if we skip forward to today, because I've run through a number of friends, and some I still have and some I don't. I had these different friendship marriages with people. You know, friendships are so interesting and they're so different than family, because I think you often like your friends a lot more than your family because you have chosen them. Like they're not just people that you have to sort of figure out a way to get and love and understand and embrace. They're people that you wanted to, like, you were magnetically drawn to them organically. But now I have a number of friends. I have basically my two best sober friends. I have two friends from college, and I have two friends from high school / middle school. And that comprises the heart of my friendship group. And those people are a part of me. I have absorbed them to the extent that I actually, sometimes when I'm listening back to the podcast, I hear a laugh or I hear a something, just like it's them being channeled through me.
Wow.
They are so much so a part of me that they're an organic part of me now. Like I'm this organism and I have absorbed little pieces of them, pieces that were holes in me before. And then this person came in with just the thing I needed, and then we became enmeshed. And then the piece of them that I didn't have came in to fill in the broken places in me.
I love that visual.
I know. So with my sponsor, she's one of my best friends, my sober friends, and she had this quality of always doing service for others. So after every meeting, she would go up to whoever was struggling and say, "Hey, here's my number." And then she would follow up on it. She would call them or she would text them. And she did that for me. When I first met her, she gave me her number, and then she got my number and she texted me and said, "Hey, it would be really cool to get to know you." And that was in many ways a tipping point for me because I was not sober at that time. And it's just the fact that someone saw me and was interested in getting to know me was really meaningful to me because I didn't think I was worth much at that time. And because of how I saw her operating, always helping women, helping her family, always doing service, it made me want that. So I wanted, one of the sort of guidelines for how to choose a sponsor is you find someone who they have what you want. And I think that's how, in many ways, I view my friends. I want what they have. And so that's why I wanted to be around her all the time. And then guess what? Now I have what she has.
Wow.
But I think when I hear you say, "Oh, it was divinely curated," yes. Oh my gosh, yes. I needed that. I needed to move into a place of service in order to build self-esteem through doing esteemable acts. I wasn't getting there the ways that I was trying to get there. And so when I started to help people, it made me feel so good about myself. And then I actually did feel like I was a good person. So
Wow.
that was something that I did need so badly. And I can see how that would be divinely curated. But the way that I would also tend to frame things is that way of I saw something that was not native to me that would have enhanced my being, and I went for it.
And I think that's the most beautiful part is that you went for it. So many people see that and they're like, "Ooh, that looks like too much. Let me run in the opposite direction." Or let me stick
Yeah.
with what I know. I think the beautiful part is saying, I want more of that and let me do the work to assimilate that.
Yes, assimilate.
That I think that's a beautiful thing. And like you said, we're using different language, but saying the same thing. Like I wanted to take on qualities that I saw in the people that were closest to me. And instead of running away from that, like if I'm coming from a place where fear is prevalent, and I'm bold, but I don't know what to do with all of this boldness, right? And then I meet this person fierce, who is fierce. And I was like, you know what? That's what I could do with this boldness. I could become fierce, you know? But it was such a
Yes.
strange concept to me when I first saw it. Now, it feels as if I've always been this way.
So do you see it as a taking or a receiving? Like a
Um,
seeing it and going for it, or a receiving it as a gift from above?
I I think it's both because I feel like sometimes things are offered to you, but we don't take hold of it or we don't take possession of it. And
Mm.
so for me,
Mm.
taking something, so I could offer you the gift of my presence and my love, but if that's the last thing you want from me, even though I could probably change your life, you know, but if that's the last thing you want from me, then it's of absolutely no benefit to you. And so
Mm.
I feel like it's so important to take possession of the thing that's being offered. So, and I don't see it as my friend offering that thing or my associate offering me that thing. I feel like this is God saying, look, this is what you could do with that boldness. I know it looks crazy and scary right now, but if you would only take possession of this thing. So I feel like taking is it's necessary. Um, and I feel like receiving and taking it's synonymous, honestly. But I feel that taking is more ownership, and that's what's necessary for some things.
Yeah, I like that. So just because it's something can be offered and you cannot receive it. There's a
Mhm.
delta in between the offering and the receipt.
Right. And that's where I think a lot of the breaks come in and the different transitions in our lives, because this thing was offered at the time you needed it, and it was an opportunity for you to grow, but you rejected it.
You let it pass you by.
Mm-hmm. And so now you wallow in this thing a little bit longer than necessary because it probably didn't come in the package that you thought it should.
Which is why openness is so incredibly important. That's something that I ask for every single day. I ask the universe or whatever, something larger than myself, to just stay open. Open.
Mm-hmm. And it's so necessary, because the moment you become closed off, then you start missing these opportunities.
Mm-hmm. I've been thinking, did I ever tell you the story? This is just a super quick one.
Okay.
I was volunteering at Jazz Fest, and I was in a very bad way. So I was just in the depths of my addiction, but I love New Orleans, and so I would volunteer at Jazz Fest on most years. And there was this elderly Black man who came over to me, and he just saw that I was suffering and that I was struggling. And I must have looked like I was in a bad way, or I was just, probably the way that I was. I was just probably looking down and looking like I was full of shame, which I was, and not knowing what I was doing or where I was going. And he came over and he asked me what was wrong. And I told him what was wrong. And it's gonna make me cry what he said, Betina. He just said 4 words to me. He put his arm around me and he said, "You gotta look up."
Wow. Wow.
And it's like he meant God.
Wow.
But I wasn't ready for God at that time.
Yeah. Wow.
But he was right, And it's just like, I don't know why it's making me feel so emotional, but
because it's beautiful.
the fact that this man was so kind and he just
Yeah.
said, "You gotta look up." Like, just look up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop looking down at your feet. But when you look up, even if it's not God you're looking for or that you think you're looking for, just looking at the sky and just feeling small.
Yeah.
Because what it was is that I was so mired in me. So that's all. Just crying on a Tues-dee again.
You are on a Tues-dee. Crying on a Tues-dee.
Let's write a blues song about it.
Okay, so I want to transition us into the life focus portion of this chat, which I'm loving so much today. And that is creating chosen family while honoring your blood ties. Jen, how do you go about that? How do you do that? How have you done that?
How have I done it is that my family didn't mean much to me for most of my life. I couldn't even figure out whether I loved them or not. Isn't that a horrible thing to say? But again, I have to keep it real. I just felt like loving was an obligation. And when I genuinely asked myself, do I love them? I was like, I don't even know what love is. That's how I felt. And my friends were my family for my entire life.
Yeah.
My friends were always my family, my number one family. And I did not honor blood ties. And now I recognize that love is an action. For me, love is an action. So I don't believe in saying I love someone in a theoretical way. I love someone means I call someone.
Yeah.
I love someone means I ask someone how they're doing. I love someone means I show up for someone. So the way that I practice that in my life now is I'm coming back around to honoring blood ties, because I realized that I've missed out on these relationships with my family because I took them for granted.
Mhm.
because they weren't who I wanted them to be.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm not blaming myself for this. I really think it's the most natural thing in the world for someone who is a teenager and beyond to want to sort of strike out from their family of origin and to discover
Yes.
themselves out in the world. And that's what I did. And I was extremely rebellious and I just pushed them away and I never felt any sense of allegiance to them whatsoever. Except
Mhm.
for my brother. My brother and I have always been really, really close. My brother is 1 year younger than me, and he's my soul person. I really, really love my brother. But you know what's funny about my brother is I noticed that when my brother and I can talk all night long, but sometimes I notice that I think we're not making eye contact
Mm.
because I have a fear of intimacy. So even though we clearly love each other so fiercely and we will talk for hours and hours and hours, there's some part of intimacy that still makes me feel fearful.
Interesting.
So it's too much to both talk with someone so avidly. I think that it's funny because when I see it from an outside perspective, like Herschel, who's not really into deep conversations, he thinks that we are crazy. Every time my brother comes over, we're up until midnight. Doesn't matter what day it is. It's always a Sunday usually, but we're always up until midnight because we just have to just explore the universe together. And my brother is brilliant and pragmatic and idiosyncratic, and he's all these things. He's a really, really unique person, and I'm so curious about his perspective on everything, and he's emotionally
Mhm.
intelligent, and he's academically intelligent, and there's a lot of big words that come into mind when I think about my brother, like autodidact. He's a self-taught person with an inherent
Mhm.
love of learning, speaking of last week's episode, and having not that, you know?
Mhm.
So I the intensity of our communication is so much so that if I were to also add eye contact on top of that, for me, that just makes me shut down because I'm so much more comfortable. This is why I love the podcast so much. I don't want to be adding the visual stimuli and the physical energy and everything about being in person makes things overwhelming for me.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Like even when you say, "Oh, you'll come and visit me." That would take
Mhm.
such a huge adjustment for me to then also be face to face with you because I'm just so accustomed to talking to you on the phone and never having
Mhm.
to worry about what do I look like or what. And it's not that I would actively focus on my appearance per se, but it's just that it would be an adjustment because for me, I'm very energetically sensitive and then the levels would go really high up if suddenly now we were face to face, like, there would be so much powerful energy there, you know?
Mhm.
So, I noticed that when I talked to him, we're talking so excitedly all the time, and I notice that sometimes I'm not directly engaging eye contact-wise, so I've just been working on that. So,
Mhm.
basically, it's just my dad and my brother, and then I have my aunt. And those are the family members that I'm the closest to, but my brother, we had an 80th birthday party for my dad last weekend, and I have other family members who I really, really like, but I'm scared to get close to them. There's still something going on with me where there's some level of intimidation with people that I don't know that well, and so I
Mhm.
still find myself getting pulled into a combination between a shyness and a desire to impress that keeps me
Mhm.
from being my fully authentic self. So there's still a lot of ground that can be covered with me and my family where I can be more intentional with reaching out to them. And I can also try to be more intentional about disarming myself so that I don't feel so much like I need to have this layer of protection when I'm around people that I don't feel 100% comfortable with. Because
Right.
it takes a long time for me to feel 100% comfortable with someone, usually, not with
Mhm.
everybody, but so I guess that's not really answering the question. I guess it's just for me, it sort of like everything with me, it was so black and white. It just started as my friends, my chosen family was my only family. But the thing
Mhm.
about that is it's not, like, I hate to say this, but that's not your family. I was just telling my friend the other day, I have all these surrogate parents, but if you were my actual family, you'd be watching my kids for free.
Yes.
If you were my actual family, you'd be doing all kinds of thankless tasks for me and so there is a difference. There is a difference. There's maybe it's just me. Maybe I have a wall up. Maybe I could say, "Hey, can you watch my kids? Hey, can I count on you in this other way?" But maybe I'm scared. Definitely I'm scared. I'm still scared of crossing that intimacy barrier and moving into the place where I'm not living in a performance of me, where I'm not curating your experience of me. I cannot seem to break that crazy habit, and I'm working on it, and I'm just not there yet.
Is that with your chosen family or your friends who we've ascribed the family name to, or is that with both blood ties and chosen?
Blood ties doesn't matter. I have a performative nature with certain ones of my family members who I wish I didn't. I really wish I could just cross the threshold and become completely so comfortable with them that I could just call them and say, "Hey, I was just thinking about you. Let's talk." That's a goal of mine, to get to that place. It's not related to whether they're blood related to me or not. It's just related to whether enough time has passed and whether there's been enough investment that I feel completely comfortable with them. Because with my brother and my dad, of course, I feel completely comfortable. They're the type of family that I could have a huge argument with them and that would be okay. That's, to me, a large part of being by definition family, is I could do something almost unforgivable and you'd still be stuck with me. Whereas if you were a friend or a chosen family, the likelihood is we would not be talking in a year,
Yeah.
But I have different friendships that have been tested on different levels. So I was just thinking this morning about how with Joyce, every single time I call Joyce, the one thing I know is that she's going to come out in the complete opposite directionality of what I want her to do. So
that's hilarious.
In that sense, I feel that our relationship has really been tested because she's always going up against me and negating what I'm saying and playing devil's advocate and yelling at me. And that in the best way, because she's checking my thinking and she's being honest with me and she's calling me out. So I have a much higher level of comfort with her than I do with anyone else because our relationship has really been tested.
Right.
Like, she's been mad at me. I've been mad at her. And then I have these other friendships that are just totally, and you and my friendship has been really tested.
We've been tested, baby.
Yeah, we've been tested big time years ago, and we will tell that story one day. But we've been tested recently with this podcast with like, "Hey, I don't like the way you're doing this. Hey, I don't like the way you're doing this." But we always have these productive discussions. So my level of comfort with you is higher than my level of comfort with certain blood ties. So it's not really conditional upon blood relationship, but I do find that there are differences with the framework of blood relationships, meaning if somebody dies in 1 year, no matter how much I can't stand you, there isn't really anyone in my family at all that I can't stand, but let's just say I had some huge altercation with you, I'm still going to see you at that funeral in 1 year, so there's more of a stuckness with family that doesn't exist with chosen.
It's so funny because, okay, so this episode is called Family Frameworks, right? I did not know that for my life, as it relates to my friends' family, I had been operating inside of a framework. And you're going to notice this when I say it, because remember when we talked about the title of this episode yesterday, I thought, let me create an outline so that I know to stay away from the stuff we've talked about a million times on this podcast, and let's talk about fresh stuff. But I did not recognize until I was creating the outline that I've been operating in a framework, inside of a framework, and you're going to hear it based on our relationship as I lay this out to you. Okay? So for me, creating chosen family while honoring blood ties starts with radical acceptance. So there's no judgment. Think about how we first started when you were my dental lab software trainer. Radical acceptance. right? Then it went to defining our non-negotiables, which I feel like a lot of times that's stated, but I don't think it had to be stated with us because we didn't start in a traditional way. Like when we started, you and I started, I'm using this example because this is the example that you know, but this is pretty much what happened with all of my friend family relationships.
Mm.
So it started with radical acceptance. Like I always felt like I was in such a place that was either worse off or crazier than a lot of other people that it was like, who am I to judge, right? But
Mm.
it wasn't this weird like everyone's welcome either. I also had standards. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so it started with radical acceptance and then it went to defining the non-negotiables. And for me, defining the non-negotiables were saying, yeah, that's never going to work for me. Oh, yeah, that's never going to work for me. Oh, we can do that. We could talk about this kind of stuff. We can have this stuff. But if that's you, and it was just like, I'm never going to do that. But if that's what you do, I love you or I care about you. So you do that over there. Just keep it separate from me, that kind of thing. Right. And then learning to compartmentalize love because I felt like with my blood family, I deeply limited people to my life. It was like the people that had full access to you. And then there were people that it was like, oh, no, I haven't spoken to that person in 8 years. I'll probably never speak to that person again ever. So
Mm.
you had
Mhm.
you had like a stuckness. I'll see you next year. I had a we never have to do this again attitude, right?
Mhm.
But then with the people that I chose to be in my life, it should have been like a surface level connection. But because I was craving a deep connection, I was like, how I told you, like when I defined the non negotiables, like, say if a person was, I don't know, just doing something in relationship that I just didn't necessarily agree with, I could love them deeply and still not judge they're having a polygamous relationship, something like that, right? Not my
Mm.
thing, not my thing. That's your thing.
Wait, can I just insert something here that I realized after you said it? You said
Mhm.
on an episode, so this is how friendships transcend what you're talking about with judgments. You said
Mhm.
one time that you didn't want your daughters to become, and then the worst two things you named were a drug addict or promiscuous. And I heard it back recently or whatever, a month ago. And I
Mhm.
was thinking that's so funny because those are basically my two defining characteristics for about 20 years of my life is a drug addict and promiscuous. And here I am, your best friend.
Yep, bestie. And what it was, and what I said was, I didn't think it was the worst thing, but it was like I didn't want her to become that because we didn't get the healing that was necessary. That was
Yes.
what I could see in your future if I don't take you to therapy soon. That was that
Yeah.
was pretty much what I saw. But it was coming from, here is the thing, if that's what you choose, not from a broken place, from a healed whole place. If that's what you choose, and I don't see anyone choosing drug addiction from a healed whole place, but if you
No.
choose, I feel like those things come from somewhere else, not necessarily from a healed whole place. So let's get you healed and whole. And that way
Mm.
the choices that you make come from the best place and they don't
Mhm.
negatively affect you. But
Definitely.
yeah. So I also looked at my friend relationships as just seeking what's missing and not seeing them as broken and hoping that I could fill in those missing parts, as you said, you know? But so it was like if I had extra love to give and you came from a family where there wasn't a lot of love, I always felt like I had extra love to give. And so let me love
Mm.
on you.
Love that
Even
about you.
I always felt like I had extra
Love
love
that
to
about you.
give.
You come across that way too. You do come
Yeah.
across as like you could take in a couple strays.
Yeah, and that's what my friends are. So my friends are like, I'm like, hey, come go to lunch with me and this other girl. And they're like, nope, that's your project. You do that. You love that, not me. I do
Aw.
not have to be subjected to that. Like
Some people are not into it.
seriously, not
Yeah.
into it at all. And then also part of my framework was creating bridges and not walls. There were so many walls I felt at different times in my life with my blood ties that I wanted to be intentional about creating bridges in my ascribed family. And so
Mm.
that was intentional. I also knew I could see parts of me, and we've spoken about this, where when something went wrong, when things went terribly wrong, I was known to put TNT on said bridge. Like, you're never coming back across this way again, right?
Yeah.
And then honoring the gifts from both. I just believe if there's nothing else I've learned from, studying the Bible, is that God can use anyone to speak into your life. There's one story where it's like a donkey spoke, and this guy was kicking this donkey, and the donkey was like, the donkey basically saw an angel, and the man couldn't see it. And so the man was kicking the donkey like, go, go, go. And the donkey was like, man, why do you keep kicking me like that, basically, right? So what I got from that was he can use anyone that he wants. So people look at a person and say, oh, that person can't teach me anything, not knowing that person, they may look disheveled, or they may look like they haven't just, achieved the highest levels in life, but they could hold so much wisdom inside of them, and they could have the one sentence that could change the total trajectory of your life, just from being able to look at their failure from a different perspective, right? Or the failure of others. So it's just being able to honor the gifts that are held in the people that are close to you. So I just understood that now, at this age, at almost 53, I've just created a full ecosystem of love that honors both where I came from and where I'm going, like what I was born in and what just drew itself to me as I was traveling through the highway of life. And I think that is beautiful. And to be able to see that and appreciate that, is great. And I just wish I had this view of things when I was in my 30s, because I think I would have stewarded some relationships a whole lot better.
Yeah.
That's what I got. That's what I got, girl.
Every relation is a struggle these days. Try to keep them alive, but we throw them away. Love should be a joy.
So you want to go into our recipes?
I sure do.
Okay.
I sure do.
Our recipe today, as Jen has already hinted
Revealed.
to, is a heritage dish, and just what's been passed down. And I wanted to go into my grandma's sweet potato pie, but guess what?
What?
None of us know how to make it, sadly.
What do you mean?
It was legendary.
And you don't have the recipe?
My mother has stolen the recipe. I hope she listens to this episode. My grandmother gave the recipe to my baby brother who just passed away. He had it on a piece of paper. My mom has it somewhere in one of her 1,000 cookbooks. We don't know where the recipe is. This is hilarious, right? And
you better find it by the time we make these show notes.
Not only do I need to find it, but I need to perfect it. That's the only reason I'm not going to share it, because this is one of those. My grandmother's sweet potato pie was absolutely legendary.
You can't say it and not share it. That's not happening.
I can't. So what I want to do is my mother's, which is amazing, and this one has been passed down. It's my mother's cornbread dressing.
Oh, you're gonna totally switch it up like that?
I have to. My mom's cornbread dressing is so good. I get so many compliments on it. And I've learned to, like your dad, I've learned to kind of flip it. So I make it the traditional way, but then I'll also I've done a few years ago, I did a seafood. I think we talked about this. I did a seafood version of it, and it was so good. So good. We enjoyed it. I had a seafood Thanksgiving one year, and I made seafood dressing. But my mom's cornbread dressing is homemade cornbread from scratch, and it is only yellow cornmeal, flour, sugar, and salt, eggs, and milk, right? It's like it's the perfect. It's funny because every time I make her cornbread, it comes out so perfect that I used to take a picture and put it on social media. And one year I put Jiffy could never could never, because it never comes like a boxed cornbread would never come out this good.
Okay.
And I will put the actual measurements in the show notes. But so it starts with the homemade cornbread. You let it cool. You crumble it all up. And, we still use the Mrs. Cubison's brand dressing mix because it's seasoned already. We actually add our own seasoning. So it all starts with the stock. Your dressing is nothing if you don't have a good stock. So I take turkey parts and I boil it with seasoning, my go-to which is seasoning salt, garlic powder, pepper, and Cajun seasoning, but I also cut lots and lots and lots of bell pepper, white onion, and celery. Celery is the key to everything with this stock. And you boil it all up. And then as you crumble up the cornbread, you pour in a box of Mrs. Cubison's seasoned cornbread dressing and you pour that stock over it. I also add a can, so you mix it in. So it's not too wet. I can't stand a dressing that's too wet, but I also don't like a dry dressing. So you have to kind of mix it up. And I generally, the day before Thanksgiving or the day before a holiday, I'll mix up the dressing, get everything all in there, and then I'll bake it the day of, which so you let those seasonings marinate. But strangely enough, we put a can of cream of mushroom soup in the dressing. And I know it sounds crazy, but it is like life. Without it, you're like dead on arrival. What you're seasoning your also in that stock in your turkey stock is poultry seasoning and sage. I did not add those. Poultry seasoning and sage. A lot of people, when they make cornbread dressing, they are sage heavy. You have to be careful with sage because sage is an overpowering herb and it can take, I don't like a sagey dressing. I like it to have a hint of sage, but once it's overpowered, it's like baked sage and it's not good. Yeah. And so, but this dressing is so good and I make mine, it comes out so moist, but not wet. There's a difference between wet and moist, right? And I think that's the fine line for people when you're making a cornbread dressing. My family still uses gravy, but I just prefer mine without gravy. I always make something like a roast or something where you can lay some gravy over your dressing. I don't need it because it's that moist and I love the taste of the dressing. But you bake that puppy on 350. You bake it on 350 for about 45 minutes. And then for the last 15, 20 minutes, you take the foil off and let it get a little bit brown on the top. And that cornbread dressing. And what I do is I stick toothpicks down in there because if I feel like it's getting dry, I'll add a little bit of stock around the edges, just a little bit like turkey basting it down into the holes sometimes, just to make sure that it's moist, but again, not wet. And cornbread dressing is just something that you can make on a Tues-dee with some chicken and some green beans and just have an amazing meal for your family. You can do it small, you can do it big, and you can just never go wrong with a great cornbread dressing. And I'll share all of the business and the particulars with you in the show notes.
Can you just really quickly, before I move to my recipe, take us back to define what does dressing mean in this context? Because the whole time you've been talking, it's been throwing me off because I've never heard dressing to describe anything except for a salad dressing.
No, so this is where I have to say white people call it stuffing.
Oh.
We call it dressing.
Okay. I copy that.
I have to say it like that because that's the difference.
You might as well tell it like it is.
Just have to say the truth. We just got to say the truth in 2025.
You should always tell the truth, and I'll take it. I'll take it.
So yeah, that's what we got going on.
So dressing equals stuffing. Copy.
Yeah, but better.
But better. All right. All right, super, super quick, because we're running out of time. And I just got it from Luke's mom. I feel like I'm a surrogate daughter right now. I feel like I've graduated to a new level of daughterness. This is so perfect. It's called Mom's Hamburger Helper. And she put a picture of a cow, like a cartoon of a cow. Isn't that cute? Okay.
She's funny.
So this is a casserole. I've never made it. It sounds she just said it's very standard fare. So I'm going to try it. So you just do 1 pound of ground meat. So I'll probably do turkey or chicken or you could do beef. And 2 cans of tomato soup. Now that's interesting to me. 2 cans of tomato soup, 1 carrot, 1 rib celery, half a cup of onion, half a cup red or green pepper, 2 tablespoons Worcestershire sauce. Is that how you say that?
I don't know. We call it W sauce.
W, because you don't even want to go there. And then 1/2 a box of macaroni shells. So peel and chop carrot and vegetables, saute them with the ground meat, brown and soften 5 minutes until the meat is cooked, and then add the 2 cans of tomato soup, 2 cans of water, Worcestershire sauce, bring it to a boil, add the macaroni. Oh, so it doesn't even go in the oven? Add the macaroni and then simmer for at least 10 minutes until macaroni is cooked. Stir occasionally to prevent sticking. So actually it doesn't even go into the oven. So I will share that recipe. Thank you so much.
Exciting.
And I feel my heart is full, and I want to build a book of recipes, because now that I am a mom and I just get, the dinner thing is so overwhelming to do it time and time again. Every single day, it's like, really, dinner again? Every week, it's like shopping again. It just, the mental load of what's in the fridge, what's going bad, what's in the cabinet, what's in, it's a lot. So I hope that I can get it down to a science. And this is going to be the first thing I try that's just simple and American, but it was passed through generations because it went from her mom to her kids, and now me.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's do a What's the Temp cookbook next year. Let's just put it out. A What's the Temp cookbook. Let's just gather all of our recipes and have them in one place.
I love it.
And we just every year or every year and a half put out a new one, and that's all. Because I feel like if nothing else comes from this, I think the most beautiful thing is being able to have a little bit of variation in, like you said, what was your cooking on a daily basis. I don't have to do all of that anymore because my kids are adults, but I still need some variety in what I'm eating on a week-to-week basis. So I think this is a great place to start.
Love it.
So thank you for joining us for another fabulous episode of What's the Temp podcast. If you have hung in there with us this long, again, you are our family. Let's include this audience into our family, Jen.
You were just born for
we
this.
Just give you a round of applause. We're giving you a round of applause. I'm giving a circle applause right now. You can't see me, but that's what I'm doing. Thank you for joining us, and be great on purpose.
Have a great 24. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Every relation is a struggle these days. Try to keep them alive, but we throw them away. Love should be a joy. Every relation is a struggle these days. Try to keep them alive, but we throw them away. Love should be a joy. Looking for love in every corner. The hardest part is to not think it over. Yeah. Is he the one? Could I find a better one? I think I could do better. Every relation is a struggle these days. Try to keep them alive, but we throw them